Hey, between you and me, study Bibles stink. There is one thing that I enjoy about driving up to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Cason Lane. I do not enjoy that it is the most congested street in the town, nor do I enjoy that people will drive right into the intersection at River Rock Boulevard with zero hope of making it through before the light turns red, thus blocking the fair passage of those that had been waiting their turn at the crossroad. No, it's that we normally take this road on the way to the Barnes & Noble bookstore. You see, we pass by the old-time pottery store on this route, which, of course, reminds me of the Pottery Barn. And therein lies my joy. This affords me the opportunity to say, look kids, the old-time Harry Pottery Barnes & Noble. I say it every time without fail because I can laugh at the same joke over and over again, especially if it's my joke. And because I'm a creature of habit and perhaps a bit insane. That is, if you accept the maxim that insanity is doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. Because each time I visit a bookstore, I look for the same thing, a new study Bible, and I never find one. Oh, I find Bibles that are called Study Bible, but they aren't good for studying. They're almost good. My wife is brilliant. That's how I know that God brought us together, because opposites attract. She received an A or an A+ on practically every test she ever took in her life because she knows how to study. So I asked her what she thought of when I say study. We came up with a list. Well, she came up with a list. I wrote it down. Studying includes, but is not limited to, these 8 things: lectures, taking notes, outlines, research, writing, memorization, immersion, and exposition. What I want to focus on, what I look for in a study Bible, is writing. Of the list of items that we came up with, at least 5 things can be said to include writing. Heck, one of them is writing. Notes, outlines, exposition, and arguably, memorization and immersion. The study Bibles that I find have lots of notes. They normally have commentaries, dictionaries, outlines, cross-references, and notes on the culture and practices of biblical times in order to help me understand why some folks acted so strange. The Bible that I was given as a child even had illustrations of common everyday items such as hair combs. These study Bibles normally have a bunch of great maps and always have no room for me to write my own notes. Oh, the publishers may have included a lined page or 2 at the back of the Bible, or if you're lucky, at the beginning or end of a particular book. But I want to write my own cross-references and thoughts next to any particular verse. I want to see my notes at the same time that I read a verse or passage. Let me show you what I have, what's in the proverbial toolbox. First off, I love living in the future, so I have all sorts of Batman and Jetsons gadgets and gizmos, many of which people half my age take for granted. I have 4 Bible apps on my iPad, 1 on my iPod Touch, and 1 on my Mac. Bible.is, Faith Life Study Bible, Olive Tree Study Bible, and YouVersion. Electronic Bibles and apps are really neat, but not a fraction as good as a good study Bible, which I can't find. Plus, there are too many. Which will be my main app? Which will keep all of my notes? You don't want all your notes strewn about different apps and paper Bibles. Let's face it, this is not a good method to choose when it comes to a trusty, beloved, and familiar study Bible. It takes a real book. Let's take a quick look at my Bibles. The New American Standard Bible that I've owned for 30 years. Very little room for notes. Old Faithful, the 1901 American Standard Version. Absolutely no room for notes of any kind. The New King James Version. I don't really like it. Enough said. The New International Version. Just kidding. Personally, I wouldn't own one. The king of my Bibles, the KJV. Not that I'm in the King James only camp. I'm the furthest thing from it. But look at this beauty. I've had it for over 20 years. Did I sound like Steve Irwin? There is nothing fancy at all about this Bible. It has cross-references, yes, but no red letter. However, look at those wide margins. There's space all around for notes. Sides, top, bottom, space. This is a study Bible. Oh, it's missing the commentaries and dictionaries and outlines and cross-references and notes on the culture and practices of biblical times in order to help me understand why some folk acted so strange that I mentioned earlier. It doesn't even have one single illustration of an ancient hair comb, but it has space for my notes. Notes that express my understanding of the text. I can sit down with a good commentary in one hand and my study Bible in the other and document what I discover in my Bible. And that's what makes it my Bible. I decide what notes go into my study Bible. And if someday I find out that my notes are poor or inaccurate, I can go back into my study Bible and erase them, amend them, revise them, because of course I write in pencil now. Certainly, I'm transparent enough for you to gather exactly what is imperative in a study Bible as far as I'm concerned. Wide margins. And after a 20-year search, I may have found my new study Bible. More on that in the future, but first, I want to hear from you. What is your favorite study Bible, and why? If you're watching this video on the homepage of the Great Commission Transmission Network at GCTNetwork.com, leave a comment below. If you're watching this video on our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button and never miss any of our videos. Then visit and bookmark GCTNetwork.com. Follow me on Twitter at MichaelGCTN. You can find that and all the links that you need below in the description. And we'll see you next time when we discuss Sonic's Drive-Thru and the Sermon on the Mount. Say what? On Between You and Me with Michael T. You are tuned in to the GCT Network.
This is your Great Commission transmission.
At GCTNetwork.com.
This is your Great Commission transmission.
Oh, it's missing the commentaries and dictionaries and cross-references and outlines and notes on practices and...